Hey guys, how are you doing? It is May 26th. Another episode of Ask the Wizard almost daily. Just move this a little bit. Of Ask the Wizard almost daily. So, you guys probably know this already, but I'm going to say it anyway in case your first time here, so I can see how many people are viewing, but I don't know who you are. So if you wanted to shout a quick shout out in the comments, that would be perfect. Got a call from my good friend, potential fraud, or spam, or whatever it is. Are you guys getting them? I get probably a couple a day, and sometimes I get even more. Um, you know how I'll see them. I'll see posts like just checking in posts. I posted them myself, just sort of just checking in, see how everyone was doing and things like that. And with our 777 club gatherings, with the workshops virtual, and of course as well as in person, which haven't been a lot, but there have been some. That and this is just me, okay? This is just me. But here's something that we say, and I find often throat chakra interesting, and often don't do, is that we say, well, we'll have to get together, or like the live events, so the in-person events. Well, we'll get together afterwards and things like this, and I'm not saying this right, wrong, or otherwise. It's how many times does that not happen? And now more than ever, because what I observe and what I've been hearing from sources, now we're in the building phase. On yesterday's show, I talked about, and actually the show before that was actually, we had actually Mr. Flipchart in to talk about the building beauty from the ashes. So archives and different things like that. If you go to, I don't have it up on the screen, otherwise I'd take you to it. But if you go to our YouTube channel, so just type in video.healingcenter.ca and you're going to go to our YouTube channel. You'll see we've got a bunch of stuff on there. You'll see a couple of playlists. Well, three of them now. One is live broadcasts, which is when we're done this on Facebook, I move it over to YouTube. So it's easy to see there with timestamps. So you can see the different segments. So you can kind of jump ahead. I also edit out different segments. And so for instance, I think the ones I've got there now is the 777 Club free mini tips. So there's a playlist for that. There's a playlist for the practical spirituality segments. So if you ever want to check the archives, or if you hear me refer to something from a past episode or things like that, you can always hop over there and you should be able to find it fairly easy. We're in the it's like the so when you're building a new house on an existing foundation, you're not renovating the house, you're building a new house. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to get rid of the old house so you can build a new one. And much of this last long while now has been getting rid of the old house so you can build a new one. And sometimes the foundation needs to be shored up. There's cracks that need to be repaired. Maybe it needs to be expanded, strengthened, because this new house is so much bigger than the old one. And what I'm feeling now is that we're all in the rebuilding now, or building probably is a better word to put it, because rebuilding implies we're going back. Building into something new is the phase that we're moving into. And say that better, it's the phase that we have the opportunity to move into. And I actually finished off the show yesterday. Source was kind of flowing through talking about now's the time for you to really kind of lean into this and go, what do I really want? Like, what do I really want? Not what does my conditioning say I can have. Oh, there's a good. Okay, there's good. So it's what do you really want? Not what you think you can have. See, that's a very big difference. I'm actually going to bring in Mr. Flipchart. Hold on. Okay, so here's Mr. Flipchart. I did this, when was it? Oh, last week. So some of you may have seen this already. And I'll make this quick. Oh, my computer's overheating. It's slow. Let's see how we're doing. Come on, fan, do your work. I'm moving a lot of stuff through this little tablet computer, and it does really, really well, I have to say. And here's the buildings, right? And here's you, and you're in between these. This is really quick. These big ass buildings. So when you look, all you can see is those buildings. And we could call this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want to overload the poor old machine here. This is like conditioning. So like the previous conditioning, not even so much existing, because a lot of that existing conditioning is now in shambles around us, which I talked about. The Mr. Flipchart, got any more coffee teaching last week, was before this whole deconstruction was taking place. These buildings were here, and all we could see was the next building. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't things over here, right? There isn't other scenery, other whatever, but all you can see is the next building, which that's what your conditioning does. So however, belief systems, all these different phrases and labels we use for it, but these buildings have been there in the past. So it was hard to challenge to really even contemplate what's on the other side of these buildings, because maybe you've never seen it, or maybe you've seen other people experiences what you maybe think are on the other side of the building, but because all you see is a building, you don't even contemplate thinking about something outside of your existing conditioning. And just there we go. Yeah, Mr. Flipchart's making things work harder than he should. Your existing conditioning. And so what happens is then your desires tend to be not what you really want, but what your conditioning says you can have. I want to flip this. You know what? I'm going to go into a practical spirituality news tip, because this has some homework in it that you can do. So let's head over to, where did I put it? To practical spirituality news tip. Hold on. So, practical spirituality news tip. We've been conditioned into taking our desires, taking our dreams, and fitting them into the limitations of what they've told us we could have. So your existing conditioning, truths, belief systems, whatever you want to call it, what they've done is like, and I showed this before I went into the segment, but it's like you're in downtown big city that's got all these high rises around it, and when you look around you, your horizon is this block and this block, and this camera's a little bit off kilter, so I'm a bit crooked, but that's what I'll just do this. So you just see over there, you see over, so it's like your field of view is very limited. Why? Because of all these big ass buildings. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a whole city and a whole world on the other side of the buildings, but all you can see is the building. So what we've been conditioned to do is we've been conditioned to take our dreams, our desires, and fit them inside of what our conditioning says we can have. The conditioning that says what you can have, that says what you deserve. And then what happens is, after a while, you forget that there's really anything on the other side of these buildings. And so then you don't even contemplating what's on the other side of these buildings. I wrote a blog post a long time ago. It was inspired by a little walking tunnel down here in Red Deer that I walked through, goes underneath the street. So as you're walking through this tunnel, when you're in, you look at the end of the tunnel, and so it was way back in the tunnel, all you could see was just the little bit that you could see outside of the tunnel. But of course, as you got closer and closer to the end, what happened? You could see more and more and more. And Source was showing me how that's often what happens with our existing conditioning, is we're at the back of that tunnel. And so all we can see is just that little spot straight out there. And after a while, we forget that the tunnel is even there. So then we start to think that what you can see is all you can have. I'm going to say that again. We've been conditioned into believing that what we can see is what we can have. But now those buildings, they're in crumbles and ashes at our feet, which means now, maybe for the first time in forever, now you can see further. And now, rather than seeing, dreaming, believing what you can have, now you can start to explore what you want. And those are two very different things. Just checking everything here. No, everything's flowing smooth. Those are two very different things. To believing and dreaming into what you've conditioned you can have, as opposed to dreaming and believing into what you really want. So your homework assignment. Oh, my homework assignment. I'm going to flip to another camera. I'll just leave it there. So your homework assignment is, I want you to start thinking about, just start thinking about, what do I really want? Not what do I think I can have? Not what my logic says I can have, not what people, places, things, and events tell me I can have, not what society tells me I can have, shouldn't have, all that kind of stuff. What do you want? Not what you think you can have, but what do you want? Challenge that. Because for so many of us, we've forgotten that there's even anything on the other side of those buildings. So we've taken our dreams and our desires and we fit them inside this tiny little limited box. And now that box isn't there anymore. And there are new creations happening. And now it's your choice. At our 777 club this last Sunday, Mary Jo was talking about how there's your wonderful opportunities. They're opportunities that you can choose. They're not inevitabilities. They're opportunities that you can choose. And if you want, you can stay with what you think you can have. But if you want, you can start to dream into what you really want. All right. That's your job for this week. And that is this practical spirituality news tip. Okay, we are back. I'm going to let Mr. Flip Chart sleep because he's every once in a while. I'm doing an awful lot of stuff, like I said, through here, and every once in a while, it's almost like the program starts to eat up memory or something, and I can monitor how much usage, I guess you could say, I'm using, and I'll watch it. It'll go up and up and up and up and up and up. Oh, slow down, slow down. Okay, so back to where we started. So we talk about, let's get together. We'll do coffee. We'll do whatever. Checking in. How many times do we not do it? And I'm speaking to myself too. Because, yes, these are incredibly challenging times. And now, maybe more than ever, it's critical in so many ways for us in community, and you've heard me say community with a capital C, for us to stay connected, to stay in touch with each other, because now's the building phase. And so often it's kind of right as things start to turn and move in another direction that people will trip themselves up. You've heard me say this before too. In our spiritual walk, manifesting desires, all those phrases and titles, there are two times when people most commonly will quit, get knocked off the path. First one is when they first start. They don't have a lot of momentum. They got a lot of enthusiasm. They don't have a lot of momentum. So when that first little roadblock hits, it's easy to kind of knock them off the path. And then the insidious thing about this is they step into this, they have that exuberance. Oh, they have the exuberance, but they maybe don't have the maturity and or momentum. So then when that first little bump comes in the road, they kind of lose that momentum to go over it, and then they kind of pull back. And then the son of a gun is when they pull back, of course, the resistance goes away. Why did the resistance go away? Not because you're making the wrong decision. But because you started to step out, these buildings, your belief systems, they don't like change. So they introduced that resistance to hold you back a little bit. So you said, nope, not doing this. Of course, what are they going to do? Well, we're good. No, we're good now. So they leave. Second one is right before a big breakthrough. And this one, the whole darkest before the dawn, all that kind of stuff, is when you're getting a level up. There, I've heard that a lot too, right? When you're getting just ready to start to go into the building phase, right? You've got so you're doing building a new house. So there's the decommissioning phase, and there's the destruction phase, and there's mess, and there's stuff, and you feel like you're homeless because you don't have anything. You don't have the new one, don't have the old one. So there's all that. And so much of that is over now. And now we're into the building a new place. And now what sources say to, so what do you want in your new house? What do you want? Back to our practical spirituality tip. What do you want in your new house? Not what anybody else wants for you, not what you think anybody else wants for you, not what you think you shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. What do you want? And now is the time, more importantly, for us to check into people, because now is the second time, right? First time is when we first start. The second time is when things are just kind of turning around and getting ready to grow, that people will often slip off the path. Because often when that change is just kind of on the verge of happening, we're tired, we're worn out, we ain't got no wind beneath our wings, man. We've got the scars on our butt dragging it across the carpet. It's like, this is where bullheaded stubbornness comes in too. It's like we're just getting up and moving and stepping, and just no matter what, I'm going forward. There ain't no namaste. There's no love and light. There's none of that stuff. It's just the only thing you've got is bullheaded stubbornness, and you're going forward. That's the time, more than anything, we need to reach out to each other, to support each other, to connect with each other, not just to say it, but to do it. And to me, that is so important. Whether it's a message, whether it's a phone call, I don't know, but just something personal, right? The posts that are checking in, see how everybody's doing, huge. But it doesn't replace that personal message, that personal text, that personal phone call. Just check it in, see how you're doing. Doesn't have to be anything fancier than that. Just that simple step. That's the theme of the show today. I'm going to wrap with that. Is just that simple step. And we'll close with a guided meditation too, that fits in with this theme. To reach out. Just to reach out and say, hey, how's it going? That's it. Doesn't have to be anything fancier than that. You have no idea the impact that can have on people. I know for me, it means everything to have somebody personally touch base and say, hey, how are you doing? That's it. So, hey, how are you? 5 words. That's it. So, hey, comma. There you go. Hey, how are you doing? Just something simple like that. Even if they don't reply, they know that you care. They know that you took the time to actually type those 5 words and say, hey, how are you doing? And that you really, if they want to reach out and reach back, that you really want that to happen. It's that connection. That's the community that's being birthed now. Remember, you've heard me talk about this. Community with a capital C, the way it's designed to be. It's not a hierarchy that's built on structures and mandates and guidelines and all that kind of stuff, and everybody fits in it. It's flat. It's a wheel. Everybody's on the same level. We're all a hub of our wheel, and we're all a spoke of somebody else's wheel. We're all connecting in a very real way, not just philosophical, not just theoretical, but in a very real way. We're all connecting now and building individually and together, right? We're not losing our identity in any way. It's my path. It's your path. We're walking those paths together, supporting each other, not walking the walk for each other, but supporting each other in walking our own walk. Okay. I'm going to close with, I'll call it a guided meditation, just a short one that kind of fits in with the theme of the show today. All right, so let's head over there now. want you to do, and I'll flip this out. So if you're in a spot that it just isn't going to work for you, you'll be able to check this out later. So what I want you to do is just get comfortable, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Feel the air as it flows in and out, and in and out. What I want you to do is place your awareness in the center of your chest, right in your heart chakra. And I'm just going to reach out with mine. Connect us all together. Just feel what you feel. Doesn't matter whether you feel something or nothing. My desire in this moment, as we're all blending together, is that we practice being aware now, and even after we're done this meditation, just practice being aware of anybody that may just pop into our awareness. It might be somebody that you really hadn't thought about for a long time, and all of a sudden they just kind of pop into your mind. Or maybe you're going through your day and you see something in your external world, and it sparks a memory of an experience that you had with a person or persons. You go, wow, I haven't thought about that for a long time. So what we're going to do is, when that happens, first of all, that we have the sensitivity to know what is just a random thought and what is an impulse that would lead to an inspired action of reaching out to that person with those 5 magic words. Hey, how was it going? Just simple. Just simple. Because we don't know where they're at. They don't know where we're at. And you never know. You never know the impact and the effect those 5 simple words can have. Whether it's a message, text, or call them. It's just reaching out, because we really are all in this together. We are building something new and exciting individually and corporately as a community. And now's the time for us to really reach out, to support each other, to help each other. Sometimes just be somebody to lean on. I remember Marianne Williamson in a book that I read of hers. She was talking about faith. And she said, if in this moment you don't have enough faith for whatever it is, she said, lean on mine. And yes, it's our walk. We're the only ones that can walk it. We can't walk it for anyone else. We can support them as they walk their walk. Because sometimes we need that. Sometimes we get tired. Sometimes we get disillusioned. Sometimes we want to quit. And sometimes those 5 simple words make all the difference in the world. So in this moment, in this time, we are simply open to being led by Source, those inspired actions of reaching out. Because we never know the impact. We never know the decision point that someone is at. Deciding that they've just had enough. Deciding that it's not worth it. And then this message comes in. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, what's new? Simple, 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 but so powerful. I ask you to place your awareness on your breath. Feel the air as it flows in and out, and in and out. Whenever you're ready, nice deep breath. As you release it, you can open your eyes. Okay, well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ask the Wizard Almost Daily Show. If you have any questions, comments, topics you want to talk about, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you have a new business you're starting in this vein, that's perfect. If you've learned something really cool, new and exciting, that's perfect too. If you just want to get together and just talk about things, that's perfect too. That's what this is about. We're all in this together. Share, share, share. We're all in this together. We're building, we're creating as a community with a capital C. Remember, living from the other side. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the web.